I'm Joe Dinifer. Hula hoops first became popular in 1958, and today, amazingly enough, there are enough hula hoops to circle the earth 5 times. In fact, in 1958 alone, over 100 million hoops were sold worldwide. In this video, we will use hula hoops in ways you probably have never seen before. In fact, none of the games and drills in this video will use the hoop as it was originally intended, for a gyrating hip movement similar to its namesake, the famous hula dance in Hawaii. As a lead-up, teaching, and training aid, the hoop is not only affordable, but also extremely versatile. The 150 hoop games and exercises in this video series are intended to be a creative introduction to the broad use of the single most versatile play device in the world next to the bouncing ball. We have divided each volume of this 2-volume video series into 4 sections. Part 1 is timing and coordination drills. Part 2 is balance and movement drills. Part 3 is hoop and ball skills. And Part 4 consists of a series of more challenging drills. Within each section, we'll demonstrate skill builders for individual children as well as games for groups. Most of the activities can be adjusted to a variety of ages and skill levels simply by using a little imagination. We hope you have as much fun watching as we had in production. This first section will focus on timing and coordination games and skill builders, the types of exercises that will help develop the skills required of youngsters in a variety of sports. Let's start this section with our juniors engaged in a balancing team exercise that requires them to hold hands in a circle and try to pass a hoop around the circle without releasing each other's hands. To make it competitive, you can even have 2 separate groups racing against one another to see which team can pass the hoop around the circle faster. Yet another variation is to have a circle of children passing several hoops around at the same time. This last one is guaranteed to keep everyone interested and involved. This next game uses hoops to build both agility and balance along with teamwork. Have the participants stand in a straight line with the hoop going over one person's head and then from the feet upwards over the next person. The only rule is they must keep 2 hands on the hoop as far as possible at all times. And, as always, a little friendly competition between 2 groups makes the exercise even more fun. To extend the competition, have the last person in line race around to the front to continue the exercise up to a designated point. This exercise helps develop rhythm and timing skills, essential ingredients in all ball sports and many other activities. Here we see one child rolling a hoop across the play area. Then, another child who is assigned to roll another hoop from a 90-degree angle tries to intercept the first hoop. This is not as easy as it may appear, and a game can be played with points awarded for each time the first hoop is knocked down. Let's now take the last concept of rolling hoops both accurately and with good timing to another level. Position two groups of children, each with their own hoop, across from one another and facing each other. Then, on command, have them each roll their hoop towards the other group of children. The goal is for the hoops to roll across the play area without colliding, and for each hoop to be caught by another child. The final exercise in this section is not only a fun solo exercise, but is also outstanding for developing motor skills and coordination. First, have the children swing a hoop on one arm in one direction, and then with the other arm as well. Then, once they have mastered this arm swing with each arm separately, have them try both arms at the same time. This second section focuses on balance and movement exercises and skill builders, along with adding both aerobic and anaerobic activity to any play or physical education program. Each of these exercises also help develop the skills required of youngsters in a variety of sports. Let's begin this section with our young athletes using a number of hoops to perform a series of agility movement exercises. The first drill is a simple run-through, with the children trying to get through the course as quickly as possible. The next variation is to have them hop with both feet through all of the hoops. Yet another is to have them hop through with both feet again, but after each land in a hoop, they must hop outside the hoop as well, yet still hop into every hoop in the pattern. Of course, these same exercises can also be performed with one-foot hopping, skipping, and high knee running, to name a few. Yet another concept is to work on patterns like 4 quick steps in each hoop, as we see here. Try some, and you'll quickly see that the patterns and variations are practically endless. This next exercise is designed to help young athletes develop both their acceleration and deceleration running skills. First, let's watch what's called a run out. Here, our athlete quick steps through a series of hoops and then explodes out of the hoops into a sprint to a designated finish line about 20 feet away. This develops the skills required for many sports, including football, basketball, and tennis. The other variation is called a run-in and has our young athletes sprinting for 20 feet and then quick-stepping through the hoops. This helps develop the deceleration and mobility skills, which are also required by many sports. To challenge each child, try keeping records of their performance to encourage them to improve with each attempt over time. And to work on this skill builder with a group, how about dividing the children into teams and setting up a relay race with either run-ins or run-outs for each runner? This next one is a plyometric exercise designed to develop explosive leg strength by jumping with 2 feet in and then out of a hoop placed on the ground. It can be done forwards and backwards, as we now see, or side to side to help with their lateral agility and balance at the same time. Another effective variation is to hop with just 1 foot, both forwards and backwards, and then side to side as well. Try timing how many jumps can be made in 15 seconds and challenge the children to improve their own record with each attempt. For a team challenge, a relay race can be designed with each child having to hop in and out of the hoop 50 times before switching with another teammate. Bounding is another effective way to build movement skills while having fun. In this exercise, separate the hoops by 4 to 6 feet, depending on the age of the child, and have them take extra long and explosive strides across the playing area. The objective is to stride as far as possible, so be sure to move the hoops as far apart as possible, depending on the skill level of the child. And remember to make sure that they pump their arms to the rhythm of the strides. Again, to create a fun-filled team activity, set up a relay race with each youngster bounding through the hoops and then sprinting back to tag the next teammate in line to run the course. This next exercise requires a handful of hoop holders, or you can use other holders made out of foam or other materials. This is a fun exercise for children of all ages and is treated like an obstacle course. You can approach it a variety of ways. One approach is to allow the children to move through the course just by walking. Another approach is to instruct them that their hands absolutely cannot touch the ground. Or perhaps that they must go through on all fours. In any event, they will have a great time while building movement skills. To make it challenging, each time the children moves through, time them and keep records so that they can try to improve their scores with each turn. And for a team competition, simply divide your group into even teams and have them pass through the course one at a time. After completing the course, have them sprint back to tag their next teammate. A natural extension of the obstacle course, where every step is clearly defined, is the slalom run-through, named after snow ski racing because of its similar appearance. Use either hoop holders or have members of a group holding the hoops and set them up in a course in the play area. The simple exercise is to have the children race through the course of hoops as quickly as possible, an effort that will force low running and skillful movement. To challenge individuals or to create a team competition, use a stopwatch to time the runs. Like many of the games in this video series, a relay race can also be organized to add fun and excitement. Now let's look at a relay race that requires teamwork on many different levels. Set up teams in lines with starting points, a midpoint turnaround spot, and a finish line back at the beginning. Have 2 children stand inside one hoop, holding it around their waist at the same time, and run as quickly as possible to the midway point and back. When they cross the finish line, they have to then pass the hoop to the next pair on their team. Variations include having the children both face forwards, one behind the other, inside each hoop, to face each other, forcing one of the children to move backwards, to face away from each other, or you can also position them to move sideways. Each of these movement patterns is an effective skill builder and a lot of fun. Now let's cover a simple exercise which is quite challenging and can be performed in a variety of ways. Have a single child hold a hoop in front of them and parallel to the ground as far as possible. Then have them jump up and into the hoop while holding it. While this may look somewhat easy, it's quite challenging and at first should be attempted on a soft surface like grass. A lead-up skill builder is to have two children holding a hoop for a jumper who can gradually build up the height of their jump as well as their confidence. And for the most athletic, how about this one? Have one child hold the hoop and try multiple jumps, both forwards and backwards through it. Now that's challenging. For a team relay race, have each child jump through the hoop 10 times as fast as possible before passing it to the next teammate in line. Here we see our young athletes performing what I like to call a guerrilla run. Depending on the skill of the children, separate the hoops and have the children bound side to side from one hoop to the other. When performed properly, they should load a lot of energy into a single bent leg on each landing to push off to the other side. This exercise builds lower leg strength as well as agility and balance. The standing broad jump is a mainstay in track and field, so why not adapt this centuries-old exercise to hoops? Have a single child start in one hoop and simply jump to the next one, which is placed at a challenging distance from the first. And to create a team effort, place 4 hoops on the ground to form a square, and have 4 children take a broad jump at the same time, on command from the teacher or coach. Or just have the children say 1, 2, 3, jump. Then again, why stop with just 4? How about creating an exciting team dynamic by trying this exercise with as many children as you may have in your group? Just make sure they all jump at the same time. A natural extension of the last drill is to have the young athletes perform a running broad jump. Using hoops for this exercise as the push-off point and the landing point is interesting since you are intentionally creating a target for them to land in. It requires planning, judgment, and good balance. The challenge is to not only land in the target hoop, but also to stay on balance and remain in it. The games in this third section add the dimension of ball skills while creatively using hoops. The exercises in this section also build on the skills and drills from the first 2 sections of this video. And again, each of these activities definitely help develop the skills required by many different sports. Let's start this section with a skill builder for passing a football. Hoops actually work out very well for this exercise. Have one child run with a hoop as a moving target for the other 2 children in his or her group. Another child is running behind the hoop to catch the pass, and the passer must time the throw with the moving hoop. It sure looks like fun and is definitely a good skill builder for football. To create a group activity, set up 2 teams and give them names like the Dallas Cowboys and the Minnesota Vikings. Have the teams alternate turns, except when they complete a pass, they keep going. If they make 3 completions in a row, it counts as a touchdown, and they receive 7 points. This next exercise is cooperative, with one child throwing a ball straight up and as high as possible. A second child has a hoop and has to place the hoop on the ground so the ball lands in it. The child who places the hoop then tries to catch the ball after it bounces. To create a cooperative game with point scoring, if the initial throw lands outside the hoop, the players would lose a point. Award 1 point for each catch after the ball has bounced inside the hoop. For groups of children to play simultaneously, divide the children into pairs and have all the children either alternate or, in a big enough area, play at the same time until one team reaches 15 points. Remember playing dodgeball as a child? In this variation, have each child standing against a wall or fence and inside a hoop. The rules are that they cannot step out of their hoop, and if they get hit with the foam ball, they get a point against them. If they get 3 points, they move out of the game and onto another activity. However, if they catch the ball, they get to become the thrower. For safety in this game, make sure to use a foam ball. This exercise encourages agility and balance, as well as throwing and catching skills. Now let's move to a ball control exercise for very young children, designed to develop touch and soft hands. Start the children at a distance from a hoop that will both challenge and encourage them at the same time. Have them simply roll the ball to the hoop with the intention of having the ball come to a stop inside the hoop. This is a great lead-up skill builder for both golf and bowling. In fact, you can even simulate a little golf course and keep score as the children try to roll their ball into one hoop and then another. This next one is a lead-up for all racket sports and even baseball, since it requires timing and hand-eye coordination. Divide the children into groups of 3 and simply have one child hold a hoop like a baseball bat and time a swing at the ball to let the ball pass through the hoop without hitting it. It's fairly easy with a small ball like a tennis ball. But to make it even more challenging, how about using a playground ball? This exercise can also be made competitive by having more than one group of 3 children perform it at the same time. Challenge them to see how many throws and catches through the hoop can be accomplished in a designated time frame like 60 seconds. Next, for younger children working on hand-eye coordination, you can try using balloons to encourage them to develop striking skills. Give each child a hoop and a balloon and simply have them use the hoop to keep the balloon in the air. This simple exercise builds movement skills, balance skills, and hand-eye coordination skills all at the same time. In a group setting, you can even challenge the children to see who can tap their balloon 10 times in the air with the hoop without the balloon touching the ground. Here's a version of Monkey in the Middle, where the middle player simply tries to get the ball to go through the hoop without touching it to win and become a catcher. And to ensure frequent rotations, if the catchers fail to catch or fumble the ball, they get a penalty point, and with 2 penalty points, they rotate to become the monkey in the middle. As well, to ensure fair play, define the playing area with lines to ensure that the child in the middle stays in the middle and that the catchers on the outside are confined to an area no more than 20 feet wide. Another rule is that the catchers are not allowed to throw the ball above the reach of the middle player. This encourages side-to-side movement and accurate throwing, as well as bounce passing. Now let's extend the last monkey in the middle game to a larger group effort. Here we see several players in the middle and several catchers on each side. The rules are the same as the last exercise, but the playing area is bigger to ensure both safety and success, as well as, of course, fun for all of the players. Now let's move to an individual trick and skill builder I call Razzle Dazzle. It may look easy, but try it yourself to find out. Swing a hoop on one hand and toss a ball up and down with the other. It's a good multitasking exercise which helps build coordination skills that are valuable in all sports and activities. For the last exercise of this section, group 3 children with one swinging a hoop on his or her arm and the other 2 children tossing a ball through the spinning hoop. Rotate the children after the tossers throw and catch 5 balls. To make it more challenging, try it with larger balls, such as the playground ball they have now switched to. And to challenge a larger group, divide the children into teams of 3 and have them compete with one another to see how many catches each group can make in 60 seconds. The fourth and final section of this video covers a variety of hoop games and exercises that we hope you'll find both fun for the children and productive in terms of skill-building games and activities. The first exercise in this section is in many ways more physically challenging than the previous games. Have one child hold a hoop on a soft surface like grass or on a tumbling mat as we see here in our gymnasium. Other children run and dive through the hoop into a forwards roll. If needed, a lead-up exercise is to simply have the children try a dive and roll on the soft surface without the hoop. And to challenge slightly older children, have the holder raise the hoop off the ground. This is definitely a drill for agile children and not most adults. An even more interesting challenge than the last exercise is to add another movement variable. This time, try rolling the hoop and then have the child run, dive through it, and perform the same forwards roll. Now let's move to a great variation of tag, with 3 children holding a hoop facing in to form a circle. Designate one of those children as the target, the one to be tagged. In this example, it is the child wearing a hat. The child outside the circle tries to tag that designated youngster, and the other 2 children holding the hoop move in a circle to protect that target child from getting tagged. A good variation is to face the children in the circle outwards. This variation is actually more difficult than facing in, as the footwork pattern and the ability of the children to have eye contact with one another changes significantly. Now let's cover the spider ball run, an exercise which will give any child a real workout. Set up 5 hoops in a circle and 1 tennis ball in each of the 5 hoops. The circle will look a little like the 5 legs of a spider, with a radius of about 15 feet. Then place a 6th hoop in the middle. Start the runner standing in this center hoop, and on command, the child runs to pick up 1 ball at a time from each of the outer hoops and have him or her place it in that center hoop. When all 5 balls are in the center hoop, the exercise is over. A challenge can be established by timing each child using a stopwatch, so they can try to improve their own time with repeated efforts. And another competitive variation is to have them compete against other children simultaneously by setting up 2 or more spider runs at the same time. A challenging variation of the last running exercise is called the shuttle ball run. This time set up 5 tennis balls inside a hoop about 30 feet away from a starting point and place a second hoop at the starting line next to the child who will begin the run. Have the child run and pick up 1 ball at a time and return it to the first hoop until all 5 balls are in that hoop. To challenge an individual child to improve his or her own time, use a stopwatch and keep a record of the times of their performances. And, like the last exercise, they can also compete against other children simultaneously if 2 or more shuttle runs are set up at the same time. To challenge older and especially fit children, simply start with more balls in the hoop. Running a 10-ball shuttle run of 30 feet should take well under 60 seconds for most children. Let's finish this video with a team exercise that can really pull a group together, whether it's used at the beginning of the session or at the end. Place a hoop on the ground for a group of 6 to 10 children and see if they can all stand in the hoop at the same time. This exercise also works well with many groups of children at the same time, and rotations can be done to give the children a chance to interact with all the other children in a large group. An additional assignment can be to ask each child to call out loud the name of a different child on their team once they are all standing inside the hoop. Thank you for joining us for this video. Remember that this tape is for the children to make their play and their physical education time more productive and, most important, more fun.